I spent a week inside of a creator's audience and saw what 2 years of content never showed him. He had the engagement, he had the followers, he had people in his comments every single day telling him, hey, you changed my life, DMing him, all of this, but he felt that it didn't match the revenue that he should be having. There was a discrepancy between all his followers, all the energy in his audience basically, and the money he was making from it. And he was barely monetizing any of it. Not because he wasn't talented, not because he wasn't working hard enough, but simply because the location he was in, inside of his own business, he could not see the perspective that I saw from the outside. I was able to have a larger view of the collective and of everything. And within 30 days of me producing the infrastructure behind his content and his business, we out-earned 14,587 Skool communities and 1 Alex Hormozi Skool games. I'm an executive producer for creator businesses. Let me show you what I saw. Thomas, the creator I had produced for, he had tried selling a course, he had an email list, all these things, but there was a complete disconnect with that and his audience, which is why he wasn't earning as much as he should. This is the biggest thing that I see every single creator I've ever spoken to skip, is gathering audience intelligence. And I don't mean this in a, you know the age of your group, you know the gender. Yes, that's part of the avatar that we're trying to figure out, but that's just a brief part of the demographic. What I mean is going extremely deep intel from the audience, because otherwise you're kind of just throwing offers out and it's like a Jesus taking the wheel situation where you're just kind of driving blind and you have no idea what to do. This is always my North Star. Whenever I work with any creator and I produce things that I produce, I base it off of this. How do you actually gather this audience intelligence? Firstly, if you have had sales calls, you take those and analyze them. You look at your comments, you look at your DMs, you put out surveys, you talk to customers, you compile all of this data and you turn it into one avatar. And based off this avatar, if you do it correctly, you should have their desires, their pains, their objections, all these things that you can use on the front end to be proactive when people don't buy. Now you know why, because XYZ, I didn't buy because I had a false belief that I can't do this myself. Okay, let me handle that in my content now. And now when you watch that and you have that objection, that's handled. Now you're gonna buy my content, or not my content, you're gonna buy my product, my knowledge, whatever it is. Then you also know their pains, okay? You're able to resonate with your audience. It doesn't matter what it is, but if you really understand somebody, don't you trust them more? Don't you trust what they're gonna tell you? And when you trust what they tell you, you have more influence on them to take an action and buy a product and buy your service. That's why it's important to resonate with people. And when you understand who that avatar is, then it's much easier to resonate. And a lot of the times, it is a reflection of you as the creator. So if you're a really small creator, for example, and you don't have an audience you can do market research on yet, and actually you should do this if you're a big creator too, but ask yourself these questions. What are your pains, desires, all these things, and go really in depth. And now you can use this in your content as ammo, as hooks, as things to resonate with your audience with, and that's gonna serve you. And then if you're a small creator, then as you grow, then you can just start doing surveys, start talking to your audience, hop on calls, and get all this audience intelligence in order to be able to know them, speak their language. And when I say speak their language, literally use the exact words that they use. You can use that in your email marketing, you can use that in your video sales letters, you can use that in anything. And that's a guaranteed way to resonate with your audience. If you literally say the exact things that they say, as simple as that sounds, it's very effective. Another thing that this will tell you is, okay, you know your guy's name is Joe Schmo, he's 62, he's divorced, whatever. You might also have multiple avatars for your audience. That's normal. There's typically, there's a handful of different ones, but you'll know your primary ones and you'll want to focus on those. Like, I wouldn't focus on more than 3 to 5, even 5 is pushing it. You'll have different, varieties, but there's going to be main ones that you want to focus on, double down on the ones that are either the best customers or just would be the best clients. Also, if you already have people buying your service, do market research on your buyers. That's literally the best people possible. That's another recommendation there. All right, now let's get into the second but extremely fucking crucial reason that we gather audience intelligence. Let's say everyone gathers audience intelligence. Now the playing field is even, but even that's never gonna happen because like I said, I've talked to so many creators. No one does this, and this gives you such an unleveled playing field advantage or whatever. If you just take that and you do that, you already just create a huge gap between you and other competitors, which are other creators in your niche. And speaking of competition, you have to understand what level is your market in. Are they aware of your product? Are they aware that your business model, for example, I mostly work with business operation or biz op models. And if you're doing a business model, you're selling something and you're making YouTube videos about it and people don't even know what it is, then that's a problem. You have to know what level of awareness your market's in and what level of sophistication they're in. So let's break that down. Let's start with market awareness. There's 5 levels to market awareness. And the first level is unaware. They don't even know what the fuck. You have some business model like AI, e-com, TikTok shop shipping, Amazon AI, Amazon FBAI. Okay, let's say it's a completely new model I just made up and no one has any idea what it is. Why are you giving it a new name? You might see people having unique mechanisms for their business model. A lot of guys in the e-com space, since that's a very saturated, very sophisticated market. Everyone knows what e-com is. That's why people need to put a new spin on things, have different varieties to create intrigue and excitement. If you have a completely new model, and a completely new business model, you don't need to add a new name to it. You just need to say what it is directly, and that's all you need to do. It already has enough intrigue because it's a new business model. As more people do it, then you'll have to come up with the unique mechanism name to stand out. But at the beginning, so for Thomas, for example, we didn't have to create a new name because the business model itself was pretty intriguing. So if we just created a unique mechanism on top of it, it wouldn't have made any sense. It would have just been doing too much. So understanding what level your market is in is huge because you'll understand, do I actually need a unique mechanism or can I just call it what it is? And I hope that part makes sense. Next level is problem aware. They know they have a problem, but they don't know there's a solution. And so you should have the solution. Like amplify their pain and then present the solution. That's easy. Number 3 is solution aware. So they know there's solutions on the market, but they don't know that you have the solution and your solution is the right vehicle. Okay, and now we go to product aware. Number 4, they know that your product exists. You need testimonials, you need social proof, and you need to build that trust in order to get them there, basically. And then number 1 is most aware. Now they're on your email list, they know about your product, and they just kind of need a nudge. They need some urgency, some scarcity to push them over the edge to buy your product or a discount, whatever that might be. And I can go deeper on that in another video, but I just want to kind of give a brief understanding of it. So the next is market sophistication. There's 5 stages to this as well. If you're the first one to a market, you can make a bold claim, hey, I'm going to help you make 10K a month. And it'll work because they haven't heard a million other fuckers say the same shit. So you can say that and get away with it. And then everyone's going to start saying it and you're going to get into the second stage. When you're in this second stage, you can start to enlarge your claims and people make bigger and bigger promises. And that still works. I remember looking back in the make money space that worked at a point. People started making bigger and bigger claims. And number 3, this is where the mechanism comes in handy because now people are sick of all these claims and they've heard it all. Now, what gets them to that result? The unique how behind your result. That's where really thinking about a unique mechanism, seeing what your market is doing, just differentiating. That's the main thing. Differentiating, creating intrigue around the process is how you stand out. Once you get to the 5th stage, the market is exhausted from everything. They've seen all the unique mechanisms, and this is where identity and connection become very important. This comes back to that audience intelligence that you should have gathered. This is where that comes into play because now you can pull that and be like, okay, I know exactly who the fuck I'm targeting. Like you have a sniper on that person's head and you're telling them this is for you. If you're the type of person who's XYZ and you actually, not just you're this age, you work a 9 to 5 and you're ambitious. No, you have to like really go to the deepest level when you gather this so that you can reap the rewards of knowing exactly who to target. Okay, and now I'm gonna briefly go over your category and positioning yourself. People just do the unique mechanism and they kind of just do it because they see other people doing it. But how are you positioning yourself? How are you a category of one? There's so much information that people are just bombarded with and overstimulated with every single day that everything's going in one ear and out the other. Like you're in for half a millisecond and you're out of their head. When you position yourself, you have to stand out from the herd. Because when someone watches your content and they can box you in with someone, they're like, okay, this is another e-com creator. Okay, this is another SMMA guy. You're gonna get boxed in, and that pattern recognition just filters you out and throws you to the side. Same thing goes with if you're pitching someone or if you're reaching out to people and they're like, okay, it's another, I don't know, it's another video editor. You're just out. You're out again. And when people can basically put you into a box in their head that already exists, then you just get thrown to the curb. So you have to figure out what's unique about you. How can you position your brand? Not even just create an image in someone's head, because that's difficult to do. Creating a whole image in somebody's head of who you are is difficult. What's easier to do is take something that someone else is already, an image that someone already has in their head, and just borrow it. So I'm gonna give an example. Jamaica, and stick with me here, okay? Jamaica, I believe it was, and it might not be fully historically accurate to 100%, but the idea and the story behind it is extremely relevant. So let's talk about Jamaica. I believe it was in the 70s, after they were free of Soviet influence or communism, they had a new leader, and they needed infrastructure and they needed tourism. They decided they needed tourists first so they could have money to build the infrastructure. They saw that the Caribbean, there's all these different islands. At least for me, when I think of the Caribbean, I don't really think of one island or one place that particularly stands out. They're all kind of, okay, little islands with palm trees. So they're not really differentiated, they don't really have a brand. And so what Jamaica did was they saw Hawaii. Hawaii has these big mountains, these longer beaches. It's different from the Caribbean islands. Hawaii spent all this time building their brand. Everyone knows Hawaii. They have a clear, vivid image of Hawaii in their head. And so what they did was they said that Jamaica is the Hawaii of the Caribbean because it has these big islands. It has the same big mountains and volcanoes and these long beaches just like Hawaii. So they literally just borrowed the brand, the visual image someone already has in their head, and they just took it and put it for themselves. They said, Jamaica is the Hawaii of the Caribbean. And guess what? All these Europeans never been to Hawaii, but they have that clear visual image in their head. Now they're like, okay, let me just go to Jamaica. It's way closer and it's the Hawaii of the Caribbean. They didn't need to spend all this effort, money, time building that up. What I'm saying is how this actually relates to you is find a visual image that people already have. Maybe it's somewhere else, and relate it to you, connect it to you. And then now you're the one of one category in that space. You're borrowing a visual image from somewhere else and you're using it, and now you don't have to spend all that energy and resources that other people use. So this can apply to a lot of different things with your brand. It can be your dressing style, the way you talk, the way you act, different. I can't really give one concrete thing because you can use it for so many different things that turn you into that brand. For example, Hormozi is the guy who works out, who also knows business. He has this category and he's the guy that's taking that position in your head. He has that image there. And so that's kind of what you need to do. Like, he owns that real estate and no one else is gonna own that real estate of like that visual space. So try to really use that and borrow something from somewhere else. Another thing we did was we didn't dilute our messaging. I see so many people trying to be a jack of all trades, master of none. Yes, I know the saying is jack of all trades, master of none is better than master of one. But when it comes to sending out a message, this goes back to noise. There's so much noise out there. Every ad or post or thing you make, if it's about more than one thing, people are not going to remember. If someone throws you or let's say someone just throws you 10 balls to, like tennis balls to catch, you're not going to catch any, but if they just throw you one, you'll catch it. That's the point. There's so much noise and information that people absorb. You just need to have one clear message. Pick one pillar for your business model, even if it covers multiple bases. So if you're some self-improvement creator who technically you do dating, you do fitness, you do make money, all this shit, it's so broad, it's not memorable. You need to make it memorable. And the thing is too, I'm not saying don't do any of that stuff, but on your front end messaging, just pick one pillar, health, wealth, or relationships. And then on the back end, if you're selling a dating offer and you're talking about relationships, then you can have something about fitness, because yeah, fitness matters if you're dating, but just don't advertise that on the front end. That's kind of what I mean. Just don't dilute your message in that sense. And that's exactly what we did. We only focused on the wealth side. And then we created a no-brainer offer. So we didn't make it anything crazy. We didn't say 10K a month. We made it something believable that people could reach for in their heads and believe. Because belief, how it works, is you basically have to take what someone already believes and just build a bridge to the next part of it. So what I mean by that is the reason you can believe making, let's say, 4K a month online is because you already believe you can do it in another place. So you're not building this huge bridge to get to that next spot. But if I want you to believe you can make 10K a month, probably if I just said that, 10K a month online, you might not believe it. But if I say, okay, well, to make 10K a month online, could you sign one client and make $1,000 a month? Probably. Okay, well, could you sign two if you have this system, and then 3 and then 4? Okay, and now you hired someone to help you with this, and now you're doing more content to get more clients. And you build that bridge of belief. Every little step, you're getting that yes, okay, that makes sense, yes. And you're building it and building it and building it. And that's ultimately what gets you to believe that you can make 10K a month. So when you're making your content, when you have an offer, when you have a video sales letter, really think about the beliefs. And this, again, it always circles back, and I will never stop glazing audience intelligence and getting it, because it goes back. If you know what your audience believes, then you can build on that to your offer, and they'll actually believe it's possible for them. That's a huge thing. And so that's what we did. We didn't add too many features. You can do like 3 features and 2 bonuses, make your bonuses more valuable than the features, make those actually the main things. That's just an example. Everything I say, take it with a grain of salt. Every industry is different. Only you have the most context on your audience, but these different things fit into different creators that I've worked with, and it's principles, it's fundamentals that can work everywhere. You just have to kind of tweak it to your situation. Make your offer outcome focused. Don't show your offer like it's a fish tank and people can see everything inside and they're like, okay, there you get 1, 2, 3, you get 5 fish. There's this color, here's what you feed this fish. And what I mean by that is here's 20 modules, here's what you gotta do, all this shit. No one wants that. You're selling them, right now you're giving them a plane ticket. You're saying, hey, you're gonna be next to this fat guy, you're gonna be next to this old lady who smells kind of weird and she has a weird cough that she's doing every 30 minutes. You wanna just sell that plane ticket, that golden Willy Wonka chocolate factory ticket, not that, and the part where he skips having to go through the whole factory and he just gets the factory and he gets the outcome. Sell the outcome with every feature. What is the outcome of that feature? So make sure that you are always outcome based, not process based. And then to push them over the edge, if they're already, the most aware, you got to add the urgency, scarcity, and make it believable, make it real. People can see through the fake shit. Be real about it. Like I said, most markets are so sophisticated that they just won't believe some fake bullshit. But you have to push them over the edge somehow. Add some guarantees. Add some to lower the chance of the risk that they see. But don't be retarded with the guarantees you do. Make it something you can actually hold on your end or uphold on your end. And then keep the sales process extremely simple. We dialed in one offer and we had a downsell of that offer. And that was it. That was one process, one funnel based on the audience that we found that worked best. And that's what we did. Every audience, there's a different funnel, different method that's going to work the best, different avenue of revenue collection. So you have to find that out based on your audience. But typically, try to collect as much cash up front. I don't love MRR, the model, to be honest, because people are not that bought in if they're just paying monthly. But when they pay up front, it stings. They put their money where their mouth is, and they're also more likely to get results, and you're just gonna have better clients. So I'd rather collect as much cash up front rather than trying to get MRR. And I'll make a whole nother video about this because I swear to God, MRR is like the American dream of info, and everyone wants it. It's the steady 9-to-5 paycheck of info, but it's not the reality that you think it is. Okay, and also the reality is everyone that won the Skool games that I was there with, none of them were there alone. Nobody wins alone at this game, and there's a stat, and I might misquote a little bit, but 68% of creators have a team behind them and have partners and people that are helping them. No really good creator is doing everything themselves, or it's a very small minority. And understanding that it's just two separate jobs, having a creator and having a producer, it's two separate things that were never supposed to be the same. When it comes to any other industry, especially in music, like there's a creative, there's the creator, and there's the producer who makes everything. They sell it, they actually make everything cohesive. Because when I come in and I build the infrastructure, it's not like you're hiring 3 different freelancers doing 3 different things, or an agency doing one thing, this doing this. It's like, no, everything I build is interconnected and it's all communicating with each other. It's an ecosystem in a way, and it's infrastructure that works because I come in and I think of the collective as a whole. I'm not just inside the business like the creator. And so that gives me that completely different perspective than most creators, especially on top of, working with different creators and seeing how different things work and just creating this pattern recognition. If you want to see what I'd see in your audience, then just use the first link below. But that's pretty much everything for this video. If you have any questions, just comment them, and I'll be making more content like this in the future. So I hope you found this helpful. Peace.